Okay, we're live. Right, I think that was probably it. Well, we'll find out later when I look at the live stream and discover, no, it didn't work at all. Anyway, hi. I mean, if you are going to be watching this anytime, you're welcome. You're welcome to our Thursday group. We are an intrepid bunch of adventurers that do all kinds of different role-playing games. As it happens, this evening, and perhaps for a couple more, we're going to be playing Age of Arthur. And in time-honoured fashion, I'm going to put the book up. And I don't know whether it's back to front or not. Let's see what happens. Yeah, it's back to front. Okay, there you go. Anyway, that does say Age of Arthur. So we're playing Age of Arthur. This is a fate-based tabletop role-playing game based in sort of post-Roman Britain, around about the end of the 5th century. It's a game written by myself and Paul Mitchener. You may know Paul from the author of Liminal, and we are in the process of writing a second edition of the game. And so this is kind of part of the sort of playtest process, I suppose, and just starting to get a feel for what we're going to do with that. We're looking to get the game ready for a Kickstarter maybe towards the end of this year. So it'll be writing complete at that point. And we've got Jason Benke to do all the art and layout. So it's going to be fantastic. But right now it's a bit rough around the edges, as am I. And we're going to have just a play and see how that kind of goes. So that's enough about the game. We're playing on Roll, so I'm going to be demonstrating parts of the Roll virtual tabletop. There's links in the show notes for both the first edition of Age of Arthur, if you're interested. A second edition is coming. And also a link to Roll itself. So I've introduced enough of those things. So we're going to play for, I think, a couple of hours and explore what's going on. We are actually in session 2. There was a session before. And we'll have a quick recap for that. And let's get playing. So I'm going to take you in the order that I have you on my screen, which might be the same order that my fellow players have. I don't really know. I'm actually going to go anti-clockwise, I think. So I'm going to just to be sort of.
So that's mathematically positive. Let's.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Well, do you know, I'd like to think of myself as positive, but I don't know about anything about maths. But the person that does is Ingolf. So Ingolf, if you'd like to introduce yourself and the character you're playing.
Yeah, so I'm Ingolf. I'm playing Kasna ap Cartivel, who is a bard. He is the bard of the king, King Agricola, and he has his way with words, and he is very flamboyant, dresses very shiny. His clothes are maybe even worth of a king. So that kind of character who talks a lot.
He does. He does it well. I noted your top skill is performance. So I can see why. Thank you, Ingolf. So let's move on. Let's go round the clock, the wrong way or the right way, the positive way. You got me bamboozled, Ingolf, already. James.
All right, I'm James, and I'm playing Decius Drusus, a commander of King Agricola, and he's a bit more laconic, but he's good with a gladius, as a bandit found out.
To their cost. Thanks, James. And finally, last but not least, Marcel.
Hi, I'm Marcel. I'm playing Vladif Abnet, a young boy of humble origin and a werewolf on the side.
Excellent. And that side was in demonstration last time we played, much to Fergus's dismay, who will come to a moment. So, thank you. So those are our band of intrepid adventurers, and I'm going to just switch momentarily. I'm going to get rid of this. I've been showing the characters a little bit on the side. I'm going to call up our map. So we're going to disappear up to the top left, which is how it works in Roll. Show party. Here we go. And show something about what we're doing. So here are our characters in display here. Because we're playing in Fate, it's got some of their aspects are noted there. And they are in the process now of escorting, it might be the right word, Gwenhwyfar, daughter of King Agricola, from Urba Legionis, which is up here, and through enemy land, the kingdom of Powys, down to Siluria and Caerleon, where apparently Gwenhwyfar is to meet possibly her future husband, the king of Caerleon, in an alliance to link up Caerleon and Urba Legionis at a time of great conflict. And Powys is sort of like an enemy state. Sadly for our brave, intrepid adventurers, they are having to travel through Powys to effectively get to Siluria. They've currently decided to take the old Roman road. This is about 475 AD. Let me just do a clever thing with this. I'll try to. There we go. So it's about 475 AD. So the Roman administration is more than 2 generations away in the distant past, and British kingdoms have arisen, cleaving somewhat to Rome, but also to their old traditions as well. Something that's quite unique. But as is often the way, just as it was with the Iron Age tribal kingdoms, there's a lot of conflict between these powers as they try to engineer some sort of lasting legacy in a crumbling and fading set of kingdoms. But these are new burgeoning kingdoms, some made up of Rome, some made up of Britons, but increasingly, also it is known, also Saxons, Frisians, Jutes, Giles from across Ireland, Hibernians, and even Picts raiding. So it's quite a tumultuous time. And if I just flip back to the map, so I hope this doesn't cause any sort of seasickness or anything when I do this, but you have just defeated Bellicia, who I shall add to the map, a mercenary commander. You suspect she was tipped off by one Fergus, and both her and her warband were defeated. Well, the warband were basically persuaded to disperse, and probably wisely they've done that. Bellicia, as I understand it, Decius has rendered her, if not dead, then certainly, as I recall it, sort of out of action. She's basically bleeding on the floor. Fergus is whimpering as Blethyn ap Med has returned with him, in one piece, but only just. And that's the scene that we have on the side of the road, probably a day or so out from your journey, a journey that should take about 10 days on the road. And you were, well, let's kind of leave it there in a way, and I'll throw it back to yourselves, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I wait for the more brawny types to finish what they started. So when Decius gives me a signal that I should take over, I will. But before that, I will just stay there and wait for him to declare the fight is over.
Well,
James, you're muted.
And Decius says, and that, soldiers, is how you deal with a bandit. Now, Kansnar, let us get back on the road.
Yeah, just wait a minute. We should maybe inquire how they found us and what they were up to with us. And as I understand, Bellicia would not be much of a talker anymore because she's more or less...
She's unconscious.
Yeah.
She's bleeding. She's, as far as I think, given what happened in that battle, she's probably bleeding out. She's still alive, I think. not for much longer, you don't think. She's very still on the side of the road.
Okay.
Fergus himself, well, he's let me just see if I can do this. I'm just gonna close that. I'm gonna pull up, if I can, Fergus, and we're gonna have Fergus front and center. If I can find him, there he is. So if I show Fergus to you, can I do that? No, I can't actually. I can view in a new window. But I can't show him as if he was an image. Not to worry. Fergus is stood by the side of the road, probably even now held effectively by Blethyn, who has captured him, pulled him back, and sensibly perhaps pulled him back in one piece.
Yeah. So, Blethyn, might you join us with our new guest?
Yeah, I thought we might want to question him.
Yes.
Of course, you can ask me anything you like. Of course you can. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm here, I'm there. I could be anywhere. Over there. So
you could be, but then again, you could be dead if you don't answer the questions truthfully.
Of course, I'll answer as truthfully as you'd like me to be.
Yeah. So just this weird thing. How come that you were with this bandit?
It was a terrible accident. It was awful. She's always had one over me, as Belicia.
Yes.
And he actually theatrically spits on her still gently sort of breathing corpse.
Okay. What did you...
I noted he hasn't been tied up as he is now when he was with them.
Yeah, I noted that as well. Thank you. So, but just this mere detail, which is of interest to me. So, how did you know we were coming this way?
You can see his eyes glaze slightly as he sort of clearly is trying to process an answer that will both keep him alive, and be at least truthful. I'm sure he's thinking of the truthful answer. He says, "Well, I have contacts. In Urban Legionis, and I heard of the travelling of your group to the south, and I heard readying and the provisioning of your group, and indeed your warband." And he sort of looks nervously at the warband that is even now just sort of leaning on their spears and watching with great interest at this performance, you could say. Mm-hmm. And he says, so I will confess, and I have wronged, and may the Christ God forgive me, or did any of your gods? I don't mind. I have sinned, and I did happen to mention to Belicia, and he sort of looks at her. Yeah, Belicia, who's always had one over me. I did let her know that you were on your way. I confess that, and it was wrong, but I did do that in the hope that she would free me from those oaths that I have made to her. Mm-hmm. Anyway, she, as you probably know, she has a bit of a grudge against King Agricola.
I know that, and for a good reason, I suppose. But
apparently very. But you know.
Yeah. But then again, so I was just more under the impression that you were working for someone else, maybe. Like a foreign king, maybe.
Oh! You do me a great service, sir. An agent of kings. I quite like that. I could. Yes. I am an agent of kings. Any particular king you would like me to be the agent of?
So you're very 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 cunning in a way, but then again not maybe.
No, maybe not. No, exactly. Both cunning and not.
I see. I see.
It's
I look at my two friends. I guess we all know what the punishment for treason is.
Oh, yeah. If only we could work that out, he said, sort of trying to back away. If only we could work that out. The punishment is to let me go or use me, sir, as you will. I could be of service. He's gone a bit cockney. He's actually Irish. I can't do Irish.
No,
I could be useful to you.
Extra information. Then there's no need for him to live, is there?
Oh yes, there is. So you travel south, do you not?
Yeah.
Into the realm of King Kingen.
Yeah.
Powys.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is interesting that you know so much about the king there.
Oh, he's a big man. I mean, not literally, but he's great. He's a great lord, and his kingdom is incredibly powerful, more powerful, it's said, than the city that you've come from. Beautiful though it may be. And so
you are also from the city, you know.
I have spent time there.
Ah.
Yeah. So I could scout for you. I could find a way. I could even pass word that would take possible adversaries away from you to the west, to the west, to the east, off the road. I could do that for you. Make your journey easier.
I think maybe it's not good to let you go on your own to have words with someone.
No, I agree. You shouldn't do that.
So I think maybe there is a way we could maybe get him into shackles or something, and he might trot along with our carriage, and we move along a little bit further. So I think it's of no use to let you just follow us in this way, and we will move along, and we will see how we can make use of you.
Oh yeah, I could be useful.
Kasna, all this fine clothing and fine living is making you soft.
I look at Theseus and I talk so loud that Fergus can clearly hear. I mean, we all know that he's a spy for prowess, so I mean, he can be of use, can't he?
And after all, Kasna.
Be of use, but one sign of treachery, and I'll gut him like the fish that he is.
That's fair.
Of course,
in school service that example.
I'll be the best of examples. Thank you very much. It's been tied up. And I guess, Kasna, thinking of your aspects, I guess you really do have friends in low places.
Yeah, I mean, somehow I could. I was thinking whether I would even try to think about who he could have worked with to get the information about our trail. But then again, I don't know if it's worthwhile. We are on our way, and what good does it do to get this information now?
Are you heading down the road, down the Roman road?
Yeah, I think we should continue to go there. Yeah.
Okay. I think that's a good idea. Yeah.
Here is a thought. You sure you want to take him with us? We could also maybe take one or two soldiers and send them back. We're only a day away.
So, and what use might that? What good might that do to us? So, when he comes back to the town, he will be he will be
Well, the
executed.
king might have his way to get more information out of him.
I think with a slight smile, he would say, "No, I don't think so. I don't think so."
Very well. Well, I'm sure I could be more use to you here. I mean, the road it is then. It's a long way. It's a long way.
Yeah.
So, so I'm assuming that you're basically leaving Belicia to die.
I think it's those times where people were not so merciful. I'm assuming.
A bandit left on a roadside is all too frequent an occurrence in these troubled times.
And if I understand correctly, we had this kind of discussion whether we wanted this, whether she wanted to have a peaceful resolution, and she declined. So,
If I recall, her men have dragged her off, aren't they? Or will drag
they
her
dragged her off. Okay, all right.
They will
All right.
drag her off.
No, you're probably right, James. In which case, she's been dragged off. Does she survive or not? I'm going to just have a little look. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just see if she survives, partly for my own interests. So she had there's a mild, moderate, and severe consequence. She had a moderate consequence inflicted by Decius. So I'm going to say that they're on a 2. So they're going to need an 11 to keep her alive. Let's just see how they do. So again, for those watching at home, this is roll. I've executed a roll in the dice log. You'll see in my video box there is a copy of what the roll is going to be, so you can see what's going on and see. Well, they've got to get an 11. So let's just see if they manage to save her, or do they not? They most decidedly do not roll.
It was a good strike.
It was a very, very effective strike. So, okay, it may prove later important for later, but Belicia is no more. Although her war band may well disperse, but maybe also
she fell in ill favor of our king. So,
yeah. Let's see what happens to the war band. We might come back to them. I'm going to clear that roll. Okay, that's cleared. All right. So you head on your way. You've decided to stay to the road, and you're heading south. Let's just pop back to the map for a second, just so we can see what we're doing. Which means we're going to disappear. I can show this to you. I thought you could show tokens, but you can't. Well, there's Fergus. So Fergus is with you. Belicia, however, is not, so she can go. And so you're heading. There was some discussion about what do you do when and if you get as far as Veraconium. It's the capital of Powys. And as it is, you continue to travel south. Remind me, in your planning for this journey and for this direct route heading down the road, had you decided on any sort of cover, any sort of disguise or deceit as to who you really are? Or were you simply just going on the basis that you're just going to hope not to meet anybody?
So we had this more or less believable disguise of me traveling through the countryside, being this famous bardic ambassador, and then there was this wagon we suppose could be a merchant, and the princess is in there, so she was not visible.
Okay, yeah, let's do that. So you have your wagon,
and I think that the king's guards had not their regalia, so they were like common soldiers in a way, like someone who might.
I'm not wearing my ring mail. I'm wearing the same armor as them.
Right. So it is. You're closing in on that very city. It's perhaps, I'm going to say, where are we now? I'm going to say it's a day away. So you're making good progress.
Yeah, and we
on
wanted
your
to
journey.
move around the city, if I remember,
That's correct. You thought about
because
that.
we were thinking that, well, if we were in the city and we would camp in the city, our disguise would certainly not hold up.
That's true. That's true. That's fine. Well, let's see how you fare, because as you get closer to the city, there is a greater sense of the population around. There are a few minor settlements not far from the road. Clearly, these are places that cleave more closely to Vericonium and therefore to Powys. So you're heading into sort of a more populated lands, a little bit more populated lands. You pass the ruin of effectively a roadside tavern, which in the heyday would have served a much higher population and a much higher density of travel up and down these roads, probably trade, and possibly some military, particularly when the area was pacified so many centuries ago. But it is now a ruin. Many of the stones have been removed from it. It hasn't been rebuilt or reformed, but it provides, perhaps on your way, a resting point. As you close in on the city and start to plan whether to head east or west of the city. What would you like to do? So you could head effectively. So you've drawn the way it's been drawn on the map right now. Your route is going to take you effectively west of the city.
Yeah.
Perhaps if people could make me an understanding of what of the local area by making me, if you have it, if you don't, it's a 0. That's fine. A wilderness check, please. Let's see what numbers you can come up with your understanding of Powys, perhaps this particular area, and maybe the hinterlands, either east or west of the road.
Yeah, I think that's not my forte. So that's...
And bless him, he understands Powys because I think you've come from there, but it's perhaps not. It's not really your understanding either.
So myself.
Yep.
So
Let's look at your rolls. So if you have, just to remind you how it works, if you let's have a look. If you've got wilderness as a skill, which I don't think you have, Decius,
no.
you can just click on the one that's blank, or indeed, yeah, just click on the one that's blank, and that should open up the dice, the sort of dice log for you with a 0, and you can roll effectively the 2 dice and see what you get.
Yeah, 10.
Wow. Okay, that's pretty good. That's very good. The thing that you would know, Decius, perhaps from your campaigning as a military commander in Urba Legionis, is that the western reaches of this road, including Kaya Penguin to a degree, but certainly deeper in, is wild country. And whereas it's not as quite as well populated, it is noted for a series of bay monsters, which have now become much more prevalent as the Roman administration has gone. So there's a danger to it, but there's also an opportunity, you think, in that it's going to be sort of less well populated and less well controlled. Eastward of the road, mostly uninhabited, probably less likely to be discovered. But either way, there are dangers, but it's probably better than the road. So either way has its dangers. If anything, probably east of the road is less populated. But I guess both come with dangers.
So I'm sorry. I thought the west was less populated because of the fey creatures.
So the west actually, sorry, I got that wrong. The west is actually a little bit more populated. It has Kaya Penguin as well, and it has some settlements. But having said that, it has probably less in terms of sort of monsters prowling around. So it might well be a safer route, but you're more likely to meet more communities that way.
Okay, so we are not so much afraid of communities, I suppose, more than we might not want to risk to run into a bunch of soldiers. And so it's less likely to meet soldiers in the east, you say?
Yes, east of Viraconium, and heading down and up along through to the Severn Valley.
Yeah. So what do you mean, Blethen? You're from these parts. Do we want to go the ferry route or the eastern route?
I think Blethen is comfortable with the Fae himself.
Yeah, I tend to say east.
East, okay. So,
yeah, I think Blettin would definitely think that.
Yeah, okay. So then, I mean, we should trust him. And he has not let us down so far. So if it's his call, isn't it?
Okay.
Decius, you agree?
We'll do that.
Yeah.
So you head east.
Things under control here.
Yeah. I just look at Fergus. We won't want to meet any monsters. I think. Do we?
No, says Fergus. No. Don't want to be a monster.
I thought so. Yeah.
So you head east. And you circumnavigate the Great Viraconium of King Kingan, King of Powys. So, as you do so, I'm going to ask you each to make me, as you travel, I'm going to say either wilderness or notice, whichever you would rather. Take the higher, and let's just see how you score as you head into the wild scrublands and probably dipping into the Severn Valley. Oh my goodness me! No, Kasnar, you are
James,
distracted. That's 8 is a solid result, and poor old Blethin, or indeed Marcel, is suffering with roll is spurning your dice rolls, I'm afraid. Completely. So don't forget things that you can do. You can, if you wish, invoke an aspect which you think might apply if you're trying to sort of find a trail, and by so doing you can spend that fate point and you can re-roll your dice if you wish. It's probably the best thing you can do, or you can invoke an aspect on a roll, of course, and gain a +2 usually. So if you wanted to do that, you can. You don't have to. Currently, you are heading off along a slightly sort of sketchy trail off the main road now. You can see probably the outskirts of Viraconium far off to the west of you as you start to circumnavigate it.
I think because I'm so distracted, I was wondering about the princess.
Yes, Gwennifer, which is, I mean, so far so good. I think you are traveling well. We are a good nearly halfway on our way, and your valor is obviously well noted and expected, given what I heard of you. I think heading off road is probably a good idea. I don't know this trail. I don't know this region, but it should be. And then she sort of this conversation could be happening sort of sometime as you pass for Iconium, I think. And then her eyes widen, and she looks beyond you, and she looks. What is that? And as she looks and points, you turn, each of you, because you perhaps didn't notice, but you see somebody coming towards you, and either he's very, very close, or he's very, very large. Whichever it is, you get this sense of thundering on the ground. The ground is shaking as this character is moving towards you, and you can see him lumbering along with big, ungainly steps. He's carrying some sort of, well, is it a tree? He might be carrying a tree.
Father Ted, he seems to be far away.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's one of the giants, I suppose.
Could be. And it's sort of heading vaguely in your direction.
Yeah. My dear Fergus, do you have any giants where you are from?
Giants. Not really. No. I can safely say we are giant free. I've never seen anything as big as that. That's enormous.
Do I believe him? Yeah, I think I do.
He looks pretty scared.
Yeah.
And heading into view is him, Agnar, thumping along. And it looks as if he's seen you. And he sort of, his eyes turn towards your procession. And of course, there's sort of 10 warband members as well. So you're making up quite a big group, and he's now starting to move more purposefully in your direction, swinging. Well, it doesn't look like a tree anymore. It looks like a huge sort of club, and it's thumping towards you.
Yeah, Blethen, you might.
What do you do?
Blethen, are you able to move out so that you could maybe get him from the back if it comes to combat?
And I will tell the warband to make a shield wall.
Yeah.
They form a shield wall instantly.
Yeah. So, but I'm a little bit concerned with Blessen because he doesn't react. I'll talk to him again. So.
Okay.
Sorry, can you repeat what you said? Sorry.
Yeah. So can you make some kind of I don't know, a stealthy move to get maybe behind this giant? So I will try to talk to him, but if things go not our way, maybe it's good to have someone with a little bit of punch behind him.
Okay. I just try to disappear in the scrap along that path.
If you could make me, Blethen, I don't know if it's your thing really, but if you could make me, I'll say either a wilderness or a stealth check for me as you blend off and start to sort of lope around the edges in the wilderness. Let's see. Oh, 9. Is that your roll, or is that the old one?
Yeah.
Yep, that's it. 9. Thank you. Yeah, you blend and disappear off into the crowd, into the undergrowth. This huge giant-like figure doesn't seem to have paid you any attention at all, and is now lumbering excitedly. Perhaps, I don't know if large giants get excited, but it's lumbering towards you.
Yeah. So I think I would at some point I will hail him. Hey, hail to thee.
He stops, sort of hovers slightly, sort of wavers slightly, should I say, wavers with this huge thing, and sort of looks down at you.
Greetings.
Hungry.
Oh, so
Many pieces of food here.
and when he says pieces of food, does he look like he looks at what's in the wagon, or what we are looking like? Maybe
He's looking at you. Pieces of food.
But if you eat us, you can't hear my stories anymore.
Stories.
Yeah, I'm Kasna Abt Cartivel. I'm quite famous storyteller around here.
Speak to me of your stories, then.
Yeah.
And now you can see that there are two large birds of prey, which are starting to hover around you. And his eyes sort of flick up to them, and he sort of signals with his club, puts his club back down.
So I think I need to tell him a happy story about some giant. So
Okay.
maybe I talk about a certain giant called Polypheme who has captured quite a bunch of sailors. That
Sounds good.
Yeah. It seems like a good story to tell. And I would just finish off. So he got them all except one, but that's maybe another story to tell.
Give me a performance test. And he's going to take note of this.
And this is actually so. Oh no, I'm sorry. I forgot to clear the roll. No,
Yeah, just clear the roll. Clear the roll. That's fine. And have another go. There we go. We're set up now.
Yeah, but it didn't get better. So it's still 8. So
so I'm going to suggest. I suggest to you that you probably need to burn a fate point and do a reroll.
Yeah, I think.
So what aspect are you going to declare is going to bring you forward out of this? It doesn't start well. He sort of he looks confused, and he started to finger his club.
Yeah, but I think this is a question of style, I suppose. So I need a little bit more action and style here in my performance, and
Excellent.
This should work, I suppose, a little bit more. So let's burn a fate point and
burn a fate point
and do this again. So
action and style.
Action and style. Yeah.
So Blethyn, as you are fading round, you're now sort of towards this giant's rear. You can see he's hovering, and you can see that Kasnar is weaving some story at him. And he doesn't seem to be making any offensive moves at the moment. But you're quite poised to do something if he does, or indeed if you want to act, then just jump in and say what you're doing. Okay. Make me that test again. Was that it? 10?
Yes. This is 10 now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let's just see if you hold his attention, because he does seem to want to listen to it, but he doesn't seem to be really particularly wrapped by whatever story it is that you're coming. Let's just see how he does. And so he's going to do a willpower resistance to this. So it's going to be an opposed test now, because he's starting to get a bit bored.
Yeah.
Not that bored. Not that bored. Actually, he's been in real need. He said, double one. Real need of a good story, and this is not a good story, but it's blooming better than he's had for quite some time.
Well, it has to be said that prowess isn't that exciting.
It's not exciting. But so he sits down, cross-legged, with a thump. He still towers over all of you and listens attentively to your story. And at the end, he sort of goes, I'm glad about that.
Yeah, and now I have an idea about the thing you were talking about, food. So
food.
Yes.
Oh, I'm hungry.
Yeah, just. I think we could spare a little bit just as an appetizer, as a snack. for the way. But if you move just a couple of miles farther to the north, there's a band of bandits who are injured and a little bit beaten up, and I think they are an easy meal.
Oh, I like easy meals. Thank you for your story, Kasnar ap Cartival. I will not forget it. I am Agnar. If you have need of my services and you are passing this way, speak to me again of these great stories, and I will listen.
It was a pleasure to meet you.
And with that, he heads off, completely oblivious at all points to the fact that Blethyn was just literally virtually behind him, ready to take him out. And you travel on your way. And
I mean, just to remind Fergus, I mean, so just so you know, and maybe you will remember that we could have sacrificed you as well as a treat for him. So
The thought did cross my mind, Kausnar.
oh, you could. I don't.
We're
I don't
still
think
needing to travel back.
Yeah, I could. I'll perhaps leave it a bit now. He said, looking nervously as the giant plumps away off to the north.
yeah,
I don't think I'd taste very good.
yeah, but just
Stringy teeth.
so if you think of crossing us, maybe think about how we saved your life a second time.
I remember that. I remember that. It's good to be alive. I think. And so you head north. You head south. You head south. You south. You follow the valley through, and probably some montage later, you actually do arrive at the city of Carleon. It's a long journey, so several days have passed. So fate points can be recovered. I think. I'm gonna say.
Can I ask, how many should I have? Because it doesn't seem to have...
Let's have a look.
You can reduce them, but it doesn't seem to say how many your baseline.
Okay, so your baseline is the number of slots that's on the sheet.
Oh, right. So 5.
So I think it's 5. It says 5 for Decius.
Cool.
If you gain more than 5, you can. Let me just have a look at. I can't do it on your sheet. I can pull up another sheet to see how it works. But if I go to fate points, they are somewhere. Oh, there they are. Okay. Yes, what you can do is, if, for example, you get a 6th point, it's possible. Then what you can do is if you hover over the little sort of diamonds, there's a little doesn't seem to want to work for me actually, but there's a little pen pencil, and if you can see if it'll do it now.
Yeah, there's a plus, and then if you select it, and then you can
actually increase.
And now I've got 10.
Excellent. You will not be able to fail, although, of course, because it's the 2nd edition, you are capped on the number of bonuses you can have based on your skill. Anyway, be that as it may, I'm going to suggest that you do arrive at Caleb.
But we regenerate 1 fate point or 2, or
so what I'm going to. So the way I play it is, you get fate points back largely by sort of self compelling yourself with your aspects. So if you want to make things interesting and possibly get yourself into a bit of trouble, you can compel yourself and say, yes, but I am, quote your aspect, and some trouble is, and I'll give you a fate point. Or I will compel you, and I will use one of your fate points to make things complicated for you, and you can take that fate point if you wish. The other way I do it is I allow a refresh of 1 fate point from any that's less than your current total every hour of play. So we're just over an hour of play, or about an hour of play. So
we get one back.
you get one back.
Cool.
And I'll put that out of the way. You are, well, I'm going to say you're approaching Caerleon when I would like you to make either a notice check, or I think in Decius's case, I think I would like you to make a battle test.
Ooh, we like that. Well,
Yeah.
we do and we don't.
Well, yeah, it depends what you roll, I suppose.
But also, it implies something not good.
Marcel is continuing his good form on dice rolls. Perhaps it's probably just as well you didn't face a giant. I don't know. What is it with Roll? Roll hates you, but I love you. Okay.
2 in a 1. Good grief.
Yeah, but maybe, I mean, you're so experienced, you could use this fate point to get a reroll, maybe. But
You could do a reroll if you wished. But I'm going to say for now, the best that you've got is Kaznar. You note that the route between you and Caerleon is currently blocked. At least the current route. You can get round this, clearly. But my goodness, that's an army. And that army is heading south to Caerleon.
So it's an army of prowess, or which...
So you could make me a law test, perhaps, to see if you've got any law, to see if you can work out what the markings and the to see whether you understand that.
Yeah, I'm I don't know. These are these signs, you know.
It's a bandit army of rabble, goodness knows what. However,
so this is an army of the size of a kingdom, but it's only bandits because they have no banners at all.
You recognise, given your past and your history, Kaznar is going into some fanciful story of armies of legend, whereas. Yeah, you can see that this is definitely an army of powers.
Yeah, I mean, we come from powers, so I mean, we had this guess already. So, so I look at Decius. So, how do we think our allies are going to stand this attack? Maybe it's time to go back.
I said, soldiers, we seem to have our work cut out here.
Yeah, well, obviously, with all these soldiers from Powys, we could go back to Verconium, because all the soldiers are here. We'll probably be all right.
Let's go take over their capital.
Yeah.
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 We have an army of 10 that should be enough to. I mean,
King Fergus. I like the sound of that. That sounds good.
So I was talking to Decius, but I find it interesting that Fergus wants to.
He wants to avoid an army. Basically, seems to be the case. Decius, on that particular test, you're not particularly sure quite what their disposition is, and you're not too certain about how they're made up. They just seem to be a large roving band, as far as you're concerned. Certainly don't have the sort of discipline, perhaps, that you might expect, but you can't make... What was it? It was an 8. Yeah, you can't make too many sort of calls on...
I'm sorry.
What's going on.
Yeah. So maybe we could... I mean, I really want to talk with Decius about this, so...
Is there some high ground we can make it our way up to get a look?
There is.
Yeah, I think we can...
High ground.
Yeah, we can go around the army. That's not the problem, but do we want our
let's
princes?
scout them out. If we get up high, we can see how they're disposed. get a feel for
Okay,
it.
so get more information, you say, before we
Yeah.
do anything else. Okay.
Okay. On that basis, particularly if you want to spend a fate
A fate
point,
point.
Decius, I'll allow a reroll of your battle from this better and more improved vantage point.
Okay. This is going to be much better.
The other thing I would say is you do have stunts, and they are on your character sheet as well. Some of your stunts allow you to roll, have got specialisms. And if you've got a specialism that might apply, you will be able to roll with advantage. Which means you can roll 3 dice and pick the highest 2. So just keep an eye on your stunts if any might apply. I don't know if they apply in this case, by the way. I could check, but
let's give it a go. Oh.
So it's a bit average. It's a little bit better. I mean, it's probably enough for me to say, because you are quite experienced, is that this particular army, I will call it an army, it has the disposition of a group of raiders. So not quite as well disciplined as you would expect. There is
no
a
siege engines.
No, not really. There is a core of more disciplined warriors around effectively a central command. And with that role, probably you would estimate, and understanding how they use outriders and scouts, this group doesn't seem to be particularly undertaking that sort of thing. So to get round them and get to Caerleon without having to engage with them is something that you think you could work through and find out. And you could certainly get to Caerleon before they do, because they're operating at scale and quite slow.
But it's more like a striking unit. It's not something you would send there to I don't know, to take hold of the city or something like that.
It's hard for you to say. Not sure. They've certainly. I mean, by the way, 5th century Britain, an army of 600 is quite sizable.
Yes. I understand.
It's a big force.
Yeah.
So, and they seem to be moving with purpose. So, yeah. Anyway, they're rumbling on. There's a lot of dust that's kicked up by them.
So, but we are, even with the wagon, we are faster than them, or should we?
You'll probably be, actually, with the wagon, it's not going to be quite so easy. I'm going to suggest we're going to see if you can get there before them.
Yeah, or we could leave the wagon behind and get the princess on some of the horses and just move.
If you were to do that, you think you could definitely get there on time?
I think we should do that. I'm not so particularly fond of the wagon. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. We can go stick it somewhere, try and disguise it a bit, and get going.
I think we should do that. And I mean, I don't know. Does she have some dowry with her or something, like heavy boxes, or is it more? I mean,
no, she hasn't.
Yeah. Okay. So then it's no problem at all. So we don't.
Okay, you do that.
Thank heavens it was a first date.
It's a bit difficult. She's there. She's quite skeptical about the whole thing, as you know. She says, "Well, I'll see what he's like." This is it Caradoc Strongarm, I think his name is. Is he? Let's find out. I don't know.
Yeah, but
this armor is not. This army is not far away, and you arrive at Caerleon at a time of tumult. The walls are still intact. The Roman walls are intact of this former legionary city, and the gates are closed, and there is a fevered activity you can see as you close in on Caelan. You can see along the walls there's lots of people starting to mill about. Not lots actually, just a few who are pointing towards this ensuing force that's coming right down upon them.
So I don't get. So when we arrived, this army is behind us and still and even visible from the town.
It seems to be visible from the walls.
Yeah. Okay. So, but they are maybe a day off or something like that.
They are, yeah. They're probably half a day off, and certainly particularly forming up to form some kind of an actual attack. And it's towards the end of the day, so it might well be that they make camp.
Yeah, and attack in the early morning or something like that. Yeah. Okay. So I guess we will move closer to the town gate and try to enter and well, talk to them.
Yeah.
Maybe they will let us
Bang
in.
on the wall.
Yeah.
The shout up to the gate.
What's your business here? Be gone.
So this is Kasna Ab Cartivel. I'm the ambassador of the King Agricola from the north.
Okay.
And I guess my name should be somewhat famous. I don't know.
Yeah, well, they certainly recognise your name. It is. It's Kasna. It's Kasna. How'd you know? Look at his shoes. So they say, and you've brought soldiers. Let them in. And the gates. There's a creaking, and then the gates are opened slowly, and you are ushered into the city. Calais, like Urba Lagunis, is a Roman city. It's got an intact forum, basilica, now dedicated to the British gods rather than perhaps the Roman ones. There is probably a church to Christos here somewhere as well, the Eastern Christ god, but it also has an amphitheatre. And as you arrive, you are, if you wish to freshen up, we will take you to Caradox Hall, which is actually the quarters of the senior officers of the Legion that was once based in this city. The king is at the amphitheatre at present.
I think we should talk to the king as soon as possible, because I think there is need of some information exchange.
Well, the games are afoot, but yeah, of course, we can take you straight there, and you're guided then to the amphitheatre, which is really impressive and intact Roman amphitheatre, where you're guided up to one of the top tiers of this amphitheatre, which has got a large crowd roaring away, and clearly enjoying some kind of spectacle, which as you get across and over, and you're guided, and the king is down here, and we shall make him aware that you are here. You can see that two gladiators have emerged from either side of the main stage area, and they are lining up to fight. The crowd is sort of cheering away, and you can see a gladiator, but also something quite different. And Blethyn may well be noting this. This is some sort of creature, maybe a wolf, possibly a fey wolf, much larger than the gladiator, and these two are facing off against each other to the sort of cheers of the baying crowd. If I just place this down here, let's get some more people on here. So we have got, let's have a look. We have got some kind of arena fighter, and we have got Tam, the gladiator. So they are, I mean, Gwennifer will say to you, what is this? I appreciate Rome and all things Rome, but really?
When I was a boy and being raised by the church to the priesthood, I heard stories of some emperor who fiddled while Rome burned. And it feels something like that now, as they play their games as an army masses. Strange priorities here, something strange.
Yeah. Gwennifer will nod to you and say, wise words, Decius, wise words. And you are guided down, as these two are sort of facing off to each other, you're guided down to meet the king.
Yeah, I just on the way, is it possible to talk to Blethen while maybe we are not overheard? But I don't know if Marcel is there. So.
Okay. If Marcel is there, then yes. So yes, you can definitely do that, because the noise of the crowd as you're now sort of heading down one of the stairwells down into the lower part of the amphitheatre, where there is like a box area, which is all partitioned off. Yeah. Where you can see King Caradoc, but the noise is so deafening. As long as you're close enough, you can be absolutely speak without being heard.
So Blethen, is this wolf? Is this one of yours?
I'm wondering who actually knows of my nature. I know that Decius knows, but would Kasna know as well?
I think I would know, but I'm not sure. If you say I don't, then I can't. But nevertheless, I mean, your character should at least have an idea whether he knows that person or not. So that's maybe
I don't know
important.
that person, but very clear what he is.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you are absolutely clear. He is somewhat like you. His circumstances may well be different, but he has definitely got Fey blood, and Fey blood of a particular type, just as you have. And is he being exploited, or is he where he wants to be? That you can't say, but you know what he is. You know who he is. And you can probably taste what he can taste in your mouth as he sort of pads around with his claws out, facing an old school trained gladiator in what is going to be clearly some kind of contest. And as you come down, you meet, well, it looks to be King Caradoc, who is, well, he's who you've come here to see. I'm gonna place Fergus out of the way. He's not really involved in this. Caradoc is not alone. Sitting with him is another individual. In fact, two individuals. Let's see if I can find them. There is another. There's kind of a quite ostentatious looking character, a military man, finely robed, and he seems to be enjoying the spectacle greatly. He has a large sort of large glass of glass of wine, which is just thrown down, and is laughing and pointing at the two gladiators in the ring, whereas there is another. If I can find him, who looks much more considered, I would say, and is sort of sat to one side and is keeping a careful eye out on what's going on. But and it's him, who I can't find his card, unfortunately, but never mind. He turns and notes you first. The king hasn't noticed you, and Maxen ap Ban has not noticed you. But this, sort of like a military attaché, I suppose. Decius, you'd recognise him as being the sort who is like a junior officer. Sort of detaches himself from these two who are busy guffawing and looking at the crowd. And King Caradoc is waving to the associated population who are enjoying this. And it's this other character who approaches you. I believe I do know that you are Casnar ap Cartival, is it not? You have travelled quite some way to get here, and I see you. And then he notices Gwennifer, and he seems to lose his train of thought slightly, and then you came here, and yeah.
Seems we came to a time when there is need for help, but I don't know which kind of help is needed, actually. And I look a little bit surprised on the spectacle that's going on.
Indeed, Kasna. It is inspiring to see that the king and his general are so confident at such times.
Confident, sir. I have not introduced myself. I am Marius Aemilius. I am one of the junior officers, and I report to,
Maxen ap Ban.
Yeah.
Hail, Aurelius.
Hail.
Well met.
Indeed.
I'm puzzled. I look outside your gates, and there is an apparently hostile army outside, and yet everyone is at play. That is what I mean. Such confidence.
He looks slightly dumbstruck. I was not informed of this. And he sort of turns, and you can see he's thinking about what to say. Not to you, but to them. And he turns back and says, I'm sure I would only be in the way for such a diplomatic moment.
I think we should take this. So, and with I don't know. I think I have a certain grandeur that comes with the job. So I mean that Kasna can pretend to be a very important figure, and so I'm like, basically I'm also a chaperone for this Gwennifer, which seems to be 2.5 steps behind me.
Yeah.
So I should somehow that she will also be noticed, and I would approach the king and his general.
Okay. So at this point, as you do that, with a sort of a curt bow, Marius exits up the way that you came at speed, heading up out of the amphitheatre. And then you can see him sort of flick his fingers, and a couple of soldiers follow him as he exits the amphitheatre. And so it is that you arrive at the box, as it were, with King Caradoc and Maxen ap Ban. Yes, says King Caradoc. And then he sort of pauses and looks a bit slack-jawed as he sees you. Sees all of you, in fact, because together as a group, you're quite something. You've got somebody with great military bearing. You've got this sort of primal sort of character, sort of bright-eyed, and of course there is the flamboyant Kasnar, and of course you have with you Gwenifar herself.
Yeah. And I guess I've been here before, so I mean I've spoken to the king. Maybe he does not. Yeah.
I think he knows you. Kasnar, you've come at just the right time. Witness this gladiatorial engagement. Can I tell you, my money's on the wolf.
That seems a wise choice, Your Highness. But may I introduce the daughter of King Agricola, Princess Gwenifar?
Of course. My lady, he says. Well, you're welcome. I have prepared a seat for you. Just on the... he sort of shushes somebody away. Please, yes. It is a most auspicious time that you arrive. I am here... We still enjoy the games here, you know. Because they're... Well, can I just say... they are actually quite enjoyable.
As you should certainly enjoy
wine, bring the wine.
You should certainly enjoy the games, Your Highness.
Yes,
and I see that your general and I will gesture to him is also enjoying the games, which is.
I am Mitchener, he says, General of this fair city, Commander of the armies. Yes, and yes, my money's on Tam, actually. I think he's going to do that wolf a treat.
Yeah. We when we came to the city, we could not notice this Powers army of, I don't know, bandits or raiders or whatever they call those miscreants.
Mitchener sort of dismisses this. I'd heard tell that there were a small ragtag group, possibly scouting in the area. We have got. Sorry, Kasnar, you seemed quizzical.
Yeah, I'm wondering whether small is the right word for a couple of hundred people. I mean, they are surely not as educated and highly trained and skillful as your warriors are here, but
no, our walls will hold. A small scouting band of Powys raiders. I had heard tell. Have they arrived at last? The scum. Yeah. Oh, wait! The fight begins. And he sort of looked, and sure enough, these two combatants are now starting to sort of swirl around. He says, "We'll sort those poultry raiders out shortly."
Would you? Well, I mean, I'm obviously sure that your army is more than capable to fend off anyone. So I will not make this strong, but this long. But maybe just our own general might have a look to learn from your great strategy in defending the city. It could be helpful.
Yes, of course. I'm very happy for you to observe me sort out those raiders, but we'll have to wait until after these games are finished, of course.
Yeah, and just the last thing, and then I will not disturb the peace here any longer. How long will these games take?
Oh, we've got several other bouts to go. It'll be another hour or two, I would say. Depends how well these, and you can now see that the actual battle has begun.
Yeah, okay. So I will shut up. Yeah.
No, but Blethin, you will note that I suppose you are literally a kindred spirit. He sort of sniffs in the air and then turns, and even as the battle is about to begin, looks up in your direction, and sort of twists his head at you, and with obviously with full feral eyes, but perhaps you can see the person. Perhaps uniquely, Blethin, you can see the person that sits beneath and through that. He sort of roars at you, which you sense is probably a greeting of comradeship. He roars at you with huge sort of fey wolf teeth, and then he sort of looks away, sort of from you, having greeted you, and then looks down back at this gladiator fighter. So the battle sort of begins again. The general looks to be completely wrapped in this. King Caradoc is sort of half looking at it, but is now sort of trying to engage Gwennifer in some sort of conversation about the size of his basilica or something. I don't really know what he's saying, but it's not very impressive. What do you do as this contest begins? You clearly can stay in the box. You don't have to. Gwennifer now seems to be ensconced, and you can see she turns to probably yourself, Blethyn, maybe Kasnar, and probably Decius, all of you, and sort of looks at you in turn, and sort of just looks confused, really. And then, she's sort of tugged at by Caradoc, who seems to be pointing at something in the distance and telling us something animatedly about the amphitheatre. What do you want to do?
I'm not sure what we should do. So I think I have to be here in order to protect Gwennifer from making some diplomatic mistakes.
She looks imminently about to do that. Yes.
Yeah, and but I also think that maybe Decius should just have a look at what they are doing.
Yeah, I'm going to head off to meet this. Okay. I'm going to find this Marius.
Marius, yeah.
And head off there. I'll take a couple of men with you and leave the rest with you.
Okay. All right. And so you do. So you head off. And probably the majority of your warband will probably fall into line.
I'll tag along.
You're going to tag along. Okay, excellent. So probably wisely, Blethyn, you're sort of detaching yourself from this particular battle and maybe from this kindred spirit who seems very keen to recognize you, rare as your type are. So you head off. So the battle is underway. I'm going to just simplify this very slightly. I'm going to see how the two of these actually fare against each other. So they're both going to make effectively attack rolls. I'm going to see how they compare with each other, to see how they actually do. Here we are. Found it. Right. So we'll start with Tam. He's going to make a roll. Let's see how he does. This is the gladiator. Roll. It's a reasonable result. So he's fighting well. Lupus is going to try and see how he does. Let's clear that. Let's see how he fares. It's evenly matched. So as the battle goes on, each now has a very sort of minor wound, scrapes. The crowd is roaring. Caradoc is sort of vaguely interested, but is also sort of seems to be talking animatedly to Gwennifer, but not about anything of any great interest. He seems to be showing off slightly, whereas the general is just completely absorbed in what's going on. There's another round where we'll just sort of see how that works out. Again, not too bad from Lupus, but how does Tam, the experienced gladiator, deal with this? Let's just see if he gets the upper hand now. Mm-hmm. Slightly. So as this battle is going on, Tam has slightly the upper hand. The crowd are enjoying this because it's obviously a fairly evenly fought contest, which is exactly what clearly the general wanted. So I brought this Fey Wolf in. We managed to capture it out in the wilds. Makes for a much more interesting contest, does it not? He said, sounding excited and animated as they go for perhaps their final attack. Yeah, not too bad. Again, evenly matched. And finally, we'll just see how Lupus does against that. Slight upper hand. And in fact, what happens is Lupus defeats Tam right at the end. Both are wounded. And the wolf, the Fey wolf, sort of looks up to the general who captured him, as if to say, "What do I do now?" And the general sort of waves his hand, as if to say, "Get off, get off." And so Lupus sort of steps back, having been victorious, and Tam is dragged away, and then they go on to the next conflict. So it's going to take a while, and they're totally engrossed. Meanwhile, Decius and Blethin, as you head up, you can see that several things are very, very clear. First of all, the city is not prepared. It's not even remotely prepared. You would know that straight away. You're looking for the militia, and you're looking for signs that they are doing anything. And apart from the guards on the wall, which you noted on your way in, there is no sign of any readiness or activity at all, which you would expect there to be at this stage. Even though, yes, the army is a way off, there's no sense that there's any readiness to the city whatsoever. You can see Marius, you meet Marius at the gate, looking south, looking north now, actually, to what seems to be a dust cloud ahead of you as this large band of raiders are closing in. And he sort of looks to you and says, "There's more than just a few, aren't there?"
That's a significant force.
It is.
I admit, when I looked at it, I have wondered about turning around and heading home. It seems that you've got a fight on your hands. Even the walls that you have. You have been to man the walls?
We have an army. We can call the army. It would require, and he sort of looks a bit shamefaced at this point. It would require the general to actually do something. I'd say we can muster. And he sort of looks across the city, sort of down into the city. He looks at the sort of faded stone buildings, the increase of the sort of timber construction which you'll find in these cities at this time, and dedicated soldiery. We might muster 200. But they're well trained.
And you have the walls.
And we have the walls, correct. With the militia, if we could get the militia as well, round the people up to produce people to help fight. I know we have people who can. I'd say we could get to more like 300 or 400 strong altogether. But that would require the militia to be raised as well. I can raise the army. I can make some. I can command them to form and ready.
Stupid question here. Has this got a port? Or it's inland?
It's slightly inland.
Damn. So
Sea's not far away. It's not far.
You could be surrounded and no way of, and not enough force to break out.
That's correct. Correct. We would need to hold.
And how are your supplies?
We are at least well supplied. I haven't seen their disposition. I don't know whether they are going to siege or whether they're going to assault. Or indeed, if anything, or if they come to deliver some kind of message from Kingin of Powers.
I had a look on the way in, and they have no siege engines, so it's assault or siege. But
right,
it doesn't look like they've got any way of getting through your walls.
No. Well, in which case, he sort of looks across the amphitheatre and looks at you, and seems to be trying to weigh you up. you seem to have a good grasp of, shall we say, military affairs. He sort of looks at your
I have been
disposition.
about in service of my lord.
Have you commanded in a pitched battle
Yes.
such as this? Yes.
Yes. Many times.
And he sort of again looks back to the amphitheatre and looks back at you.
And your Maxon Van?
Yes.
How is his experience? He seems to enjoy the wine and the gladiators rather more than.
He would tell you his experience is great, and every battle he has been victorious. Without wishing to be disloyal, I would suggest to you that, and his tones become hushed, as if he doesn't want anyone to hear, other than yourself, Blethyn, and yourself, Decius, and he sort of leans over to both of you and says, the men do not, or the warriors, do not trust him, and do not believe he is capable. If they hear tell that there are, he sort of looks back and says, 500, perhaps more, raiders from Powys descending upon our city, possibly for an assault, I'm not sure they would follow him. I'm not sure they would follow him.
Then perhaps it is time for you to rouse them while your commander enjoys the pleasures of the time is now to gather your men and get them prepared.
He kind of looks a bit nervous at this and but nods and says, I can certainly get the army ready. It would require either the king or the general to rouse the militia. But I will do what I can. Could I make use of you as, shall we say, a interested advisor?
Of course, Marius.
And indeed to your compatriots, if you have any skills in this area, then I would also be honoured to note any help that you may be able to give. I'll do what I can. And so, Decius, Blethyn, I will doubtless be speaking with you again. I have work to do. Then perhaps so do you. And at that, he curtly sort of to himself and starts barking orders at a few people and heads off to presumably what may be some sort of barracks to try and get something happening. Meanwhile, the games continue, and Gwennifer now looks completely out of sorts. She looks bored, and you've seen her looking bored before, and it's never a good sign. Once she starts looking bored, you know you're in trouble.
Closer to her so we can whisper without anyone hearing us. So sometimes the duty of a ruler is not to be like the person living under the shadow of a great ruler, but sometimes the duty of a queen is to be the great ruler while someone else is merely the shadow of their queen's intellect. So my I don't know, something like, I don't know what her title is, but I would say the correct one, I'm sure, my highness, her
princess or whatever.
Yeah, my princess, whatever. So if you want to become the queen here, you will rule the city, but and your sons or daughters will rule, but it takes patience, and it takes time, and it takes cunning to do so.
She looks conspiratorially at you, which she has done before, and says, let's tell a story. let's make a story here. And she sort of turns back towards Caradoc, the king, and says, I don't think we're going to be having an alliance with this city, Kaznar. But let's create a story that will be remembered in these hills, these vales, and these lands. And perhaps we will find another place that my father can ally to.
So
help our city?
So I would ask her then again. So you want us to let them face their doom, or you want us to stop this?
I would like us to stop Powys here, but I think it will take us.
I think so as well. Yes.
However, let me see what I can do. And she turns to Caradoc and says, and she'll say to him, Caradoc, you have forces arrayed against you. Yes, I know that's an extremely impressive basilica, but if you want to keep eyeing up that basilica, you're going to have to deal with this. You need to get your people out and fighting. Is your general going to do anything? There's a big argument that starts to arise between the king and the general. Just doesn't seem to be interested. He says, well, we've got plenty of time. There's no need. Please leave it with me. He says, leave it with me. It's fine. And he takes another sort of huge drink of wine and looks slightly nervous. It's fine. It's fine, he says. It's fine, apparently, says King Caradoc. It's absolutely fine.
Okay. So I'm not sure whether I would be too confrontational, but I think that there might be stories that I could tell, or something like a short toast to the king and his future wife and so on. What we tell, and something about like, I don't know, when due to negligence some city was lost or something like that. So just in order to motivate the king.
Sure. Yeah.
To have him do something because he wants to impress his future wife.
In which case, give me a performance test then.
Yeah, and not the general. I mean, that is obviously.
No. It looks to you as if Maxinat Ban, the process of him getting drunk seems to be accelerating. And he's now really heavily quaffing into the wine, possibly with news of this battle to come. But I mean, make me a performance test and see.
And I would say, just because the wording of my aspect is so fitting. So I mean, words are more cutting than a sword, but sometimes a sword is what we need. So
yes, it's perfect. In fact, that's a critical aspect. I'll give you a +3.
Yeah. That is exactly what we need here.
If you're going to do that, well, in fact, make your roll, and then we'll see how you do. And if you want to invoke an aspect, you can, of course. And I'll give you a +3 for that aspect because it's a critical aspect. Oh my goodness me! So my suggestion is you invoke that aspect and do a re-roll rather than get the +2.
I will do so.
What is it with roll? Is it worse than roll 20? Or
yes, it is. It is certainly. It is just, I don't know.
I'm impressed. I was betting on a 1 and a 2.
Yeah,
that's better. 12 is entirely decent.
Yeah.
I could. Let's just see how this plays. I'm going to make it an opposed roll with King Caradoc's willpower. Who he's going to at least try to see. Is he distracted? What's his willpower like? Oh, it's not pretty good actually. It's pretty good. You might be struggling here. Let's have a look. Let's.
It might be not enough. I mean, I understand.
Well, let's see what's going on. Let's make the roll. No, it's enough. You're on a 12. He's on a 9. So you have a degree of success of 3. So you do beat him. Does he burn an aspect or two? I don't think he does. Could do. What's he got? Well, he's swayed. Oh, no. He sticks to a course of action. He's decided, no, I could spend some fate points, but I'm not going to. I'm going to say that you've succeeded in that.
Yeah. And I would just maybe I mean I would quite with this. So maybe right now the general is not at his best, and he will need a few hours of rest before he can organize something. So maybe his lieutenant Marius can order things.
Yes. I think so, and I do appreciate the seriousness of the situation. He says, and I as king will attend to my duties. And he sort of looks, but we can't leave the games because it would just cause panic. So I'll stay here for a bit longer. Don't you agree? And you notice that the general has actually probably slipped into a bit of a stupor and doesn't seem to be responding anymore.
But couldn't you? I mean, I wouldn't know about the militia, so but I don't know. So I would remind him, but I don't know. So my character doesn't know.
Sure. So he doesn't seem to be doing very much other than sort of ignoring the lack of interest from Gwennifer, is continuing to sort of talk to her of how strong he is. Meanwhile, out at the wall, Decius and Blethyn, what do you want to do? Marius has disappeared off to try and get the army sort of at least mobilized. You're on mute, James. It might be the roll mute. Yeah.
So there are troops on the wall, however.
There are a few. There's basically probably a fairly cursory guard who have noted what's going on.
Right, well, at the wall where we are, I'll say make sure you get your doors closed, get the gates cleared, and don't do anything, let anyone in until your Marius tells you.
Will do, sir. Will do. It's good to have you here, sir.
Good to be here. A bit of practice for us all. They look like
commander.
rabble.
He said, "You heard the commander. Seal the gates. Double seal the gates. Make sure nobody can come in."
Have confidence, soldier. I passed through them. They're rabble.
Right. Well, they all recognise your bearing, actually, and yes, Blethyn.
In the meantime, I'll just quickly return to our cards, and I'll fetch the armor of Decius that he can clothe himself appropriately.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Ooh,
excellent.
That does sound a good idea, Blethyn.
That sounds great. Okay.
I'll happily strap my ringmail on.
Excellent. So you do so. Meanwhile, Gwennifer is telling Caradoc, if he is as strong as as you say you are, prove your strength now, and summon the militia. Your general. And then she sort of looks over and realizes that the general is actually now unconscious. Your general has need of an army if you're going to survive. And Caradoc sort of looks at her for a moment as if to say, "What? Oh, right." And he sort of makes a decree, and you can see some of the administrators. He says, "Raise the militia. We're going to have to close the games." It doesn't seem right, but Gwennifer seems to have just persuaded him to do that, and so he says, "Close the games."
Yeah. So do you want me to have some kind of a speech, a performance to?
If you could explain to people what's going on, that would be great. And so it is. He seems to be shrinking. Caradoc's strong arm seems to be shrinking into his chair, as if he doesn't really want to be there. His general is asleep, sodden with wine. And there's an announcement, there's a trumpet blare, and there's an announcement that the games are to be closed at this point, and there's sort of a murmuring from the crowd.
Yeah, and then I will. I mean, I guess I'm also used like talking to this crowd.
Oh, and what happens is you are guided down into the amphitheatre itself, where obviously the sound is sort of carried through. I mean, I've actually stood in these places. I'm sure you have, perhaps if you've managed to be at certain ruins. It's actually incredibly powerful. These amphitheatres were remarkable for the way that you could stand at a certain spot and literally it just amplifies right across. And so you are placed in this place that you turn. There's this huge amphitheatre full of the citizens of Caerleon.
Yeah.
And the administrators stand to one side and out of the way as you're given opportunity to speak.
Yeah, and I would introduce myself. I'm Kasna Apkatrival. You have heard the stories I'm telling, and blah blah blah, whatever. And so I am here with a small army and our famous general Decius Drusus, and our fair princess. And I would point up.
She stands at this point. Gwennifer stands, and she smiles and she sort of waves to the crowd, and with a huge winning smile. So there's your speech and there's her charisma. Seems to be sort of, as far as the crowd are concerned, the games may be over, but this is probably just as interesting.
Yeah. So we are here to announce that there is whatever you say, something like the union of our kingdoms, whatever. But those bandits and bastards of powers, they are trying to interfere, and they have thought up some minor army of delinquents, but we will deal with them because nothing can stand our powers, whatever, something like that. So like this rah-rah speech you do in that case of the situation. So, but people should be aware that there's an army coming, but we are two forces united and we will certainly beat them.
Give me a performance test and see how strongly and how well that lands. Sorry, it involves rolling on see what you get.
Yeah. I will try again. I mean, I think it will be a 7, but maybe a little bit more. Oh no!
Oh! Okay, well that is a critical. That's a critical. Well, the crowd are roused at completely roused by that. There's cheering. That Caerleon is saved because Urbalegonius Gwennifer has arrived. Soon to be maybe their queen, perhaps, if they're really lucky. And the great Kasnar has spoken, and he always speaks truth and power from both this world and the other. And the crowds have gone sort of and basically they're starting to file out as they were instructed, and to get ready for a battle. The combination of your efforts means that there is effectively going to be a highly motivated militia that's going to join Blethyn, Decius, and yourself, and well, your own warband, which will be counted in the numbers, into the battle to come. And so it is, as a general sleeps, as a weak king is sunken in his chair, battle will commence. And next time, we will see what happens at the gates of Caerleon, and our heroes to see if they will prevail. Thank you very much for playing this little session, and we'll see what happens to Caerleon and seems to how each of you will impact the battle to come.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, and to those of you who are viewing, hope you enjoyed our session of Age of Arthur, and in a fortnight's time, we will go to the Battle of Caerleon to see how the raiders of Powys fare against the soldiery of this fair city and see if our heroes will prevail. On that note, thank you very much, and we'll talk to you again next time.